I teach 8th grade English in Maple Grove, Minnesota. I didn't realize I was the facilitator for this conversation. I just joined in because I'm interested in learning about how other people use digital notebooks in their classrooms.
Let's see if I can get in here. So how are we using digital notebooks in our classrooms? Or are we using digital notebooks in our classrooms?
I have a class set of iPads that I've been using with my students, and my goal this year is to have them use the iPads in some way as their digital notebook, and I'm trying to decide which route I want to go, using Evernote or Google Docs or combination.
And I haven't started using anything specific yet either, kind of like Melissa. We don't have the iPads in our classrooms. We're one-to-one with laptops. And we just started using Google Apps for Education. They just changed this over this summer. So I'm trying to figure out what type of format, or even if I want them to use a blog and create a digital portfolio or notebook on a blog. It's something.
I've previously used digital notebooks in a school where we had Google Apps for Education. We don't have that. We're getting that this year for my school, so I'm excited to start having them use more of like a digital portfolio, combining KidBlog. I don't know if you guys have heard of KidBlog.
Yep, we use KidBlog.
Excellent. And then Google Apps for Education, like so things that they do through Google Drive, and really that whole revision aspect of Google Drive is what excites me.
My school has Google Apps also, and we just got that at the semester. And unfortunately, it doesn't work perfectly on the iPads. They can only do documents and a little bit of spreadsheets. And so I was thinking of using a blog. I had my students using Blogger at the end of the year for a project and thought they could just put everything onto that.
Well, I like KidBlog because it's very similar to WordPress, and a lot of my students already had WordPress blogs. So it was a different kind, it was a similar interface to what they were used to, but it had that privacy feature. And I really think that when we have students blogging, that there needs to be a privacy feature there. Even though they're writing for the real world, it's really important that they, use only first name and last initial so that they're safe when they're online.
In KidBlog, can you open it up so that other people outside of the group can see their postings?
Yeah, the postings can be public, and that's what I have mine set to, is that the posts are public, and so anyone in the world can watch, but I do have the commenting section is public, but I have to approve any comments. That way people can comment on the students' blogs, but I make sure that they're appropriate.
I do the same. I keep the comments for the kids and for the public so that I can moderate that, just to be on the safe side. I opened my kid blogs up early when we started last year, and I think this coming year I'm going to keep it private for a little while longer and then open it up to the public just so they're comfortable. That was one of the things they were nervous about the most, was other people reading them and knowing what they're writing about, and so that was important for me to make sure that they're safe and they're comfortable with what we're doing.
I might have missed, what grade levels do each of you teach?
I teach 8th.
I teach 8th grade.
I'm high school biology.
Okay. Melissa, that's what I am too.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out, especially I teach all 4 grades, so I have the honors bio kids, freshman, sophomore, mixed class, and then AP biology is junior, seniors. And I'm worried about the whole, wanting them to post out there to the whole world, but then the safety and security issues as well. But then for my juniors and seniors in AP biology, I really want this to be a digital portfolio of their work. They can use it as a link in their college applications. And so I'm trying to figure out the platform for them. It's probably going to be different than the first-year students. And then how much safety, security, what things to teach them. You know, if they're using it to apply to colleges, they need their first and last name on the site. And then format. I have to give them some direction. I just can't say go crazy, go wild. I have to design it some way so that there's some direction for them, but let the AP Biology students maybe create something a little bit more personalized, possibly even choosing their platform. I'm not sure.
Is it possible to maybe work with an English teacher in your building, and the English teacher can take care of the, you know, what does proper formatting look like, punctuation, that kind of thing, and then it's kind of an integrated unit where they can get the sciencey ideas across, and then they're kind of doing the work in both, and they have a different way of expressing themselves. What I tell my students with their blog is that it's really important that they present themselves well, but blogging is different because they do get to do some of the artsy stuff. They can have a creative desktop look. They can have fancier fonts than a strict paper would be. As long as it's readable, then that's one of the powers of blogs, is that it's formally informal. And so I would suggest talking with some English teachers in your building who might be interested in, you know, collaborating with you.
I think that's a great idea, great cross-curricular piece there, and bringing in more Common Core ideas. It would be a great way, as we get more students across the curriculum blogging in different classes, to say the teachers in English can then use whatever they're going to be able to teach, and the students can pick the content class that they're going to work on their blog. I like that idea a lot. I teach the biology, but this year I'm going to be 2/5 educational technology. I like to call myself instigator. I'm not a director of the EdTech. I'm just working with professional development with the faculty specifically. So that would be a great thing to say how we could connect and kind of double dip for the students. You know, they can be working on 2 classes assignments, but really it's at the same time. I think that's going to be a really great idea. Thank you, Christina.
Nope, you're welcome. You know, and the other thing is a lot of students don't see that English, and again, I'm an English teacher, so I'm all about how do we get students to recognize writing in other areas. They don't realize that it does matter how they write, how they express themselves, and word choice in science is just as important as it is in history, as it is in math, and all of these different things. And so it's just helpful to lay that framework for students with English type stuff.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's one of the benefits of having them publish something, you know, having a digital portfolio of some sort, because then they aren't just giving it to me. You know, their classmates can see it, other people can see it. I think they'll be a little more careful with the writing, the word choice, you know, spelling, grammar, those kinds of things we like to say are very important.
Yep.
All the time, every day.
Yep. But I think they also get to be a little bit freer because they're not just writing for you. You know, the students know what I'm looking for when they're writing for me, but when they're writing for a potential job, or they're writing for a, you know, interview at a college, that kind of thing, they have to, again, think about everything that they have to say and change things as they need to. So it's pretty nifty.
And I was looking at the Blogger versus WordPress versus Wix, if we're doing some kind of digital portfolio. And I haven't used Blogger for anything more than just a timeline blog. And I haven't investigated a lot. Do you guys know, can you make separate pages like you can in WordPress?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah?
I had my students do that. So they had like an About Me page. They had a part that described their project, and then they had their individual posting page. Okay. And you could add a bunch.
I think that's where I was thinking of giving them some direction, you know, basically saying set it up just, you know, like you said, Melissa, with like an About Me page. Then maybe it's a lab specifically for science, you know, like a lab report page where they're then, you know, setting a little blog maybe with a picture about the lab activity that they did or directions of what they did. And then
Rebecca, did you say, are you a Google Apps for Education school?
We just changed over this summer.
they could technically do that and create a Google site that has all their links and their tabs, and so they have like a link for their blog reports, and they have a link for, you know, pictures of experiments that they're doing, or you know, whatever they're doing in science. So that's another way you can set it up so that it's not just, they're not just sticking with like a Blogger or the other one. What was it?
Oh, there's WordPress.
WordPress?
There's
WordPress. Yeah.
Weebly. I haven't even really looked at Weebly. And I was thinking even for like the beginner students, giving them something much more organized, detailed, do this, do this, do this. And then for the higher end students saying, okay, there are options for how you want to present it, and maybe letting them choose. But I just don't know how much choice to give them and how much direction to give them. Mostly the top end kids, mostly the juniors and senior kids.
Mm-hmm.
I gave my students, I said they needed to have certain pages, and we set that up in class, but then when I let them go with it, I found that they were changing the backgrounds or kind of personalizing it, and so they just kind of took it from there, which was nice, but they still met my basic requirements.
And I would say the one thing is, you know, you had talked about different tools, Rebecca. I would say just for your sanity, pick one. You know, take some time and look into each one, because Blogger has some things a little bit different from WordPress, which has some things a little bit different from Weebly, which has some things different from KidBlog. So I really would suggest that you pick one. And, you know, the nice thing is you use it for one school year, and the next year you start with another one if you don't like the way the first one worked. But I found with my students, if I say, okay, if you have a blog, you go ahead and use that one, it becomes a nightmare for me to keep track of it, because then I have to be part of all of those different tools.
We had Christine Hartuni. Am I saying that right? I think your microphone's off. Check in the upper corner.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
There we are.
So we're talking about digital portfolios and digital writing, almost in a sense too, with our moderator Christina, our facilitator.
The thing I like about Google Docs is there's a variety of different things that you can embed into a Google Doc. But going back to what you said, Carrie Ann, about a Google site, is all of the different things you can embed into a Google site, and having each student have, even if you just have a classroom Google site and each kid has a page that they can edit, is always interesting. And again, it's different, I'm assuming, for an elementary teacher who has only 25 to 30 kids, and then those of us who are, you know, in middle school or high school, and we're talking about 150, 160, 170 kids, it can get a little cumbersome too. But the more digital writing that I can have my students do, and where I can just make comments in Google Docs on something that they say or that they write, is pretty cool. You know, very few red pens are used in my classroom. Lots of sticky notes and comments on documents. So,
if you want to set up a Google page or a page for each student in your site, there is a script that you can run called PageMeister, where you start out with your one page, your one site, and then it will automatically take the information from a spreadsheet. I'd recommend starting out with G-class folders, and then PageMeister can run straight from that as well. I just learned about that last week at the GAFE Summit.
PageMeister, M-E-I-S-T-E-R?
Correct.
Page.
And G-class folders?
Yeah, so what G-class folders does is you start out with your roster, and it automatically creates a folder for each one of your students that you can, like, let's say it's biology 2013, 2014. So they'll each have that folder. Inside of that, they'll have another folder of documents that you can put in that they could view only. You could also have another folder of documents that they can edit. And then you can run, what's it called, Doctopus. And that will send individual documents that are just shared between the student and you. And that way you have it all in one folder, it's all automatically shared, and you can embargo it, which means that you can let's say it's the due date and you don't want them to edit it, you can turn that off, and so automatically all the students have lost their editing rights. And with that G-class folders, you can run Doctopus, you could run PageMeister, you could also run Autocrat straight through it, which is really cool. It makes things, I think, a whole lot simpler.
Yeah. It's like a master folder.
Yeah.
And everything kind of is in it. And so when you change the master folder, it populates or sends it out.
Exactly, to everyone. Awesome.
We have another person joining us. We have Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hi, everyone. I'm not sure if I unmuted my microphone or not.
You did,
Oh, we can hear you just fine.
Okay. Just checking. This is my first Google Hangout.
Yay!
How was PageMeister, M-E-I-S-T-E-R? Did I spell that right?
Yeah, and it's all one word when you type it in, when you do the search. They're all by Andrew Stillman, who does a lot of like Flubaroo and all the like education type scripts.
Gotcha. I'm tweeting it out.
Carrie Ann, I have a quick moderator question for you. How will we know when this session is over? Are you going to be notified?
That's an excellent question.
Okay.
I can check in.
If that can maybe be posted to Twitter, that would be awesome.
Yes, I will. I'll check in right now and on the today's meet and see what they're thinking.
So, Beth, what kind of digital writing do you do?
I actually haven't done that much. I'm kind of just starting to experiment with it because we don't have a lot of tech access, and even our students don't have as much as at home, which I kind of expected. In fact, it surprised me when one of my students asked me if she could type her essay on her iPhone instead of a computer because she types faster on it.
Oh, yep.
But this past year, I actually got the funding for a class set of Chromebooks, so I'm hoping to do a digital portfolio, writing portfolio online, whether it's a Google Sites sort of thing, or using all the Google Plus scripts. Or not Google Plus scripts, you know, the various Google Drive strips, Doctopus, Autocrat, Flubaroo. So the closest that I had to digital writing was we got the Chromebooks at the end of April, and I had a student teacher at the time, and we decided instead of sending them home to write their essays or have them write the essays on paper in class, they wrote it in Google Drive, and then they shared it with us, and we used voice comments to make suggestions pretty much every night, and then they did their peer editing, sharing it with their classmates. And so we basically flipped that lesson because they did all the writing in class with us, and we just kind of walked around helping them out.
So if you look over on the chat function, Melissa posted the link for PageMeister. So it's the left-hand toolbar will open up the chat, and then on the right where the chat shows up, you'll be able to get that. Yeah.
All right. So Beth, what do you teach? And Christine, what do you teach?
I teach 7th grade life science.
I teach high school English, mostly with sophomores and juniors.
All right.
And again, I teach 8th grade English language arts.
Okay.
I teach high school science.
I teach high school bio also.
So we have science and English teachers in here.
Yay!
Nice.
Yay!
Yay!
You know, I just got done with my our local national writing project program, and we had a science teacher that was in there with us, and it was really cool. He was kind of like our token oddball. He was our outlier, and it was just these ideas that he came up with were great. He did a workshop on introducing creative writing in the science classroom, and so we did this experiment or lab. We basically did a lab on how disease transmission happens, and and he had acids and bases, and we read a story about why can't I remember the stuff? The gal that Typhoid Mary, and how she was a healthy carrier, and so we did this whole thing, and then we had to write a creative writing, like a short story about transmission of diseases from healthy carriers, and it was pretty cool. So it's nice to see that there's different ways to integrate language arts skills and English skills into science.
Well, we just had at our district, I don't know if you're familiar with the Step Up to Writing program.
Yes, yeah.
For the last 2 years, we had training that was mostly attended by English teachers, and this year, because of the new Common Core state standards, our district advertised it as all content area. And I know just from my school, we had a science teacher, foreign language teacher, history teacher, and a piano teacher who went to it, along with the English teachers. So hopefully we'll see more writing across the curriculum.
Yeah, I think writing in science, people don't think it connects, but it's so vital. It's what I spend a lot of my year working with the students on. So creating some kind of digital notebook where they can present their information, but I also like, as Christina mentioned, the whole revision aspect with Google Docs, and the way you can comment and the voice comments and the written comments and kind of be a fly on the wall when the students are working on papers together is so helpful.
Yeah, and they can work together, which is absolutely amazing that you can have 3, 4, 5 students working on the same document at the same time. So there's power in watching that happen, and the learning, kind of like what we're doing now. I mean, this would be kind of fun too, is to have students, you know, doing hangouts from all over the country or the world to come up with something, and then they're all working on the same Google Doc to pull everything together. That would be nifty.
Yeah, fun idea.
Well, I've been so inspired by, I don't know if you're familiar with Cheryl Morris and Andrew Thomason on Twitter and their co-flipping collab partnership.
Yes.
At FlipCon 13, I couldn't actually be there. I was doing the virtual attendance, and a bunch of us were posting on Twitter that we wanted to have collab partners, and it turned out there were 5 of us who decided to just kind of form up, and we're still trying to work out the details of having our classes from, you know, across the country pair up for digital writing sort of thing. So, because between the 5 of us, we joke we're tri-coastal because we're in California, Louisiana, Maine, and New Jersey. And having each one of our classes adopt another one, and we represent the levels from 8th grade to 12th grade, so it's like having someone's 12th graders adopt my 11th graders and someone else's 11th graders, and have them kind of work together on the digital writing. And I love the fact that they can do that, because my sophomore students are in these academies where they have the same classes together all day. Pretty much, the school I teach at is over 3,000 students, so there's, you know, you don't tend to mix classes a lot, but these guys have the same classes all day. They're friends, they know each other, so they write for that audience, and because they use the same assumptions and the same terminology. If they write an essay about Halo, and I tell them, no, you have to explain what Halo is, they said, why? I'm writing it for the guys in class and they all play with me. But if I can expose them to no, you're writing for someone who lives in Louisiana who's not a video gamer, you have to explain to them what the premise of Halo is and who Master Commander or Master Chief is.
Yep. Wow.
Melissa, thanks for sharing your site, your Google site that you made last week.
You're welcome.
I just saw that. I just figured out how to turn on the chat.
Yeah,
chat going on.
I'm still working on it, but I hope to have instructions and samples of how to use the different ones, so it's a work in progress.
That's a great site.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I share that out on Twitter?
Sure, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, that needs to go out on Twitter.
Yep. So, what was the workshop that you went to? Was it just about
It was
using
one of
Google?
Yeah, it was at the Google Apps for Ed Summit in California, and I did one of the pre-workshop days, so it was all scripting, led by Jay Atwood. And at the beginning, he had us set up a website to kind of take all of our notes, put everything in, but we didn't have enough time. But I thought it was a great idea and wanted to keep adding to it, so I've been working on it a little bit, just adding more. I need to make some screencasts and things like that, or I might just find other ones online to link it to.
That was a busy week, Melissa, because you were up at Rockstar Truckee. I was up there
Yes.
too.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I know lots of people were going straight from there to Redwood City. I was like, oh, I can't actually fit it all in.
Yeah, then I was at Academy of Sciences to learn all about NGSS.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
I'm getting ready to head up I'm doing Rockstar the Hornets.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, so I'm going to be on a boat.
Oh, nice.
I'm excited. It's all what you take away from it, and I'm looking forward to the cool stuff. But Q is amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's been great. And I just actually went to the Palm Springs conference. That was the first time I'd really connected. Actually, that's where I started. I told myself I'm going to check Twitter out while I was in Palm Springs at the Q conference, and yeah, now I'm addicted.
Yeah. When you start having multiple columns on your tweet deck so that you can follow and participate in 3 chats at the same time, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's been surprising, like just after the first time I participated in a Twitter chat, how many like new followers I had. I was like, I can barely keep up with the ones I have now. I don't think I can add any more. Because every day I end up spending 2 or 3 hours just going through the tweets and, you know, opening up links in other windows of, oh my God, I have to print out that article, or I have to bookmark that page, I'm going to use it. So I've been trying all year to shift to a more flipped classroom next year, and I'm going into total ADHD mode. It's just like, oh wait, I want to use this site. Oh wait, this one looks better. Or this one, or this, and that's been the same thing for me with digital notebooks. I've been thinking about Evernote. I've been thinking about, since our students are going to have, we're not a Google Apps for Ed school, but they're going to have Google IDs. We've been, you know, I was like, well, maybe I'll just do a Google Sites template, and then I talk to the other people. I say, oh, that tool sounds nifty. It's just, have to finally sit down and pick one.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, because you don't want to keep switching things up on the students, and so you have to go into it knowing exactly what you want, and that's hard.
Yeah, I have teachers who really, in my building, who really want to keep their professional learning to inside the school year. And I just shake my head at them. Like, oh, hun, ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. Sorry. You know, I mean, a lot of this is front-loaded learning during summer and vacations and things like that to bring it into the classroom. So it's just really interesting.
That's a great point. You know, I hear the same thing. Like, I'll post stuff on Twitter, and then I'll put it out on my Facebook page for, you know, my friends that are educators, and I always get this when we go back to the beginning of the year, like, how do you know all these things? And it's like, well, we just had 8 weeks off, you know.
Right.
What else? That's what I like to do with my time, and that's what I feel is going to be valuable for my students and for my classroom, and it works for me. And the thing is, you know, and I know enough people, it doesn't always work for everybody, but that we really need to make sure that our administrators and our superintendents and our district people understand that how important it is to have that professional development time, so that the people it doesn't work for get to learn and to grow and get those skills.
Well, I was just looking at the time, and it's about 3 minutes to 1, and I was peeking at the Today's Meet channel, and this session is supposed to end at 1 o'clock.
11.
And
Or
I'm sorry, I'm in Central Time. So for me, it's 1 o'clock. So 11, 1, or is it 2 Eastern Time?
2 is Eastern, yeah.
Okay. I'm time zone challenged, so I apologize. But we have about 2 minutes left before this session is done, and then the next session will start in about 10 minutes. So does anyone have any last things you'd like to share about digital notebooks?
I just check out Christina. It was Christina, right, that just
Mm-hmm.
posted that.
Oh, Christine. Yep.
Sorry, that link. Oh, I got all sorts of things opening now. I mean, I was searching for flights earlier, and Priceline just like popped up. I'm like, okay. But that was a presentation? Was that something you had found, Christine? Or
Yeah, there was a resource somebody had forwarded to me that went to the Gap Summit just recently.
It looks awesome. Yeah, I was trying to find the link for, a friend of mine just told me about this app called White Lines. I don't know if anyone's heard of it.
No.
It's a way, it's a type of paper you have to print. Oh, here it is. I've got the link. I'll put it in. I haven't read it yet, but it's white lined paper that has like the QR code little boxes on the outside, and so students can write or draw or put anything in it. And when you take a picture of it, it will digitize it, and you can put it into Evernote. I know Beth was talking about using Evernote. There's a couple of places you can put it into, and then it's a searchable document within Evernote, or I'm sure you can put it as a PDF and into Google Drive or something. But especially for science, you know, whenever there are things that they need to draw, like actually draw, I find Google presentations hard to draw on, but they need to draw on a piece of paper, or, you know, and they have a way of getting it into there.
Is this a Chrome app or?
No, it's an actual separate. You know, just I can link that there.
You know, LiveScribe notebooks are great for that too. I don't know if anybody's familiar with LiveScribe, but I have 2 of their Sky Pens, and we've been using them last year, and then I used it all summer at my writing project institute, and they were great. Loved it.
Okay. You can play more when you're done. Okay, go. When you're done eating.
All right.
Get right
Ladies, with just about a minute left, I'm going to drop out of the conversation because I'm moderating a section. I'm moderating a second session, and I'm not quite sure exactly how I'm doing it yet. So thank you very much for a very informative conversation about digital notebooks, and enjoy the rest of Edcamp.
Yeah, thanks for the research.
Thanks for coming, guys. Or ladies.
Ladies.
All right, enjoy the rest of EdcampHOME.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks again, Melissa.